figure I'm going to just run through some various notes about, so you want to be a green business or have a green business or help a green business, basically. And these are just some, I guess, notes of consciousness a little bit. And so hopefully there'll be a reasonable theme to it all. So first of all, if you say, and some of this is kind of a repetition, is if you want to have or be a green business, from my perspective, it's very simple. It's about the values. So, when you have a business or organization or a military, anything, you have a mission, you have strategy to implement that mission, and you have tactics, tactical level to day-to-day to implement the strategies. So your green goals, whatever they may be, need to be baked in automatically at your mission level, so it's just inherent. It's like the air you breathe, basically. So they have to be at that level. And so when you're asking yourself on strategies to implement the business or grow the business, will this meet our mission related to financial gain and economic, social, environmental gain? And then in the tactics used to execute those strategies, how do they meet or compromise your mission overall? People ask me a lot about some of the theme of constraints. What are the constraints of being a green business? For me, from my perspective, there are no constraints to being a green business. There are, and a lot of that has to do with just simply the demographics. We are in a good market where there are more people in our market who are receptive and understanding and educated to green and why it matters and et cetera. And of course, a key element of having a successful business is knowing your market and being placed into a good market. But also, some of that is luck and some of that is execution. But our greatest constraints are really just simply constraints on capital and constraints on people, human resources. That's not a green thing, that's a business thing. It was a different kind of thing 10 years ago with the recession. It was very much about capital. These days, that's not as much, but there's still some constraints, but it's all about human resources and finding the right people who can see your vision and execute it and implement your strategies and your tactics and go with it. So that's not a green thing, that's just a good business thing. Related to that, I think it's very, very important to evolve. When we started Amicus in 2005, we were basically a specialty hardware store. Today, we're more like a home improvement center. We related more to the project level. Back then, it was very transactional. Now, there's less of that transactional stuff, and it's more about bigger picture projects, longer time frames, seeing them through. There's still a blend of both, but it's flipped. And that was more than anything just seeing where there were changes in the market, changes in the economy, and competition, and just being able to evolve with that. So as soon as you think you have your business set, be prepared for it to change on you, and try to stay reasonably in front of it. Again, that's not a green thing, that's a business thing. Remember why you're here. Remember, that gets back to your vision and your mission. Quick little change also from some of my scribble. Not just from the business perspective, but in terms of if we're talking to other organizations, the fantastic organizations, whether it's governmental or NGOs like Green America who support us and such, it's very important to measure things. There's a lot of data, and it's important to have better data. Measure how much green businesses create locally, number of jobs, just pure on revenue and profits, so that you can measure what the growth rate is or the shrinkage rate. Measuring business-to-business transactions, I would say business-to-business. And that's one of the things that could be a fantastic level of growth. Last year, 2 years ago, you guys did a great job with the
that WeSpire tool?
The WeSpire tool, which was the tool which the idea was trying to get businesses to support from a software perspective internally, but also from business. There's a huge opportunity that remains very much ignored or untapped of getting both small and large businesses locally and regionally to support each other. A fair number of people do it on their own, kind of ad hoc, but there's a tremendous level of formal network that can be done there. And it's not just within the county, but regionally through COG, Arlington County, Fairfax, whatever it might be, and then expand that out at the state or regional level. That's very much untapped. I would say we should not be shy. I get a lot of people who you know, the DC area, there's a lot of movement, transient people, especially from the coasts, and there's a lot of people who still come in the time, they're like, yeah, you know, us, you know, DC area have nothing on the West Coast. That's true, but it also still undercredits the progress we have made. And so I think there's a reflection of, informally, I think, you know, the DC area, Maryland and such, does try to basically replicate what's going on the West Coast. I think we need to continue to try and really drive that and just formally recognize among the many states of the United States, we have the coasts, build that out. That's important with helping people recognize, you know, the old economy and the new economy. My little 2-second political rant. I've been working for almost 20 years on helping to keep a more dynamic American economy, American jobs, not just on the service sector, but manufacturing. I was doing it well before the guy downtown was pretending to do it, but from a more sincere level. And so the idea of buy American, buy local is real. It directly pertains to sustainability, to economic sustainability, environmental sustainability. It's absolutely critical to understand that, and also to help other cultures within the United States recognize it does not necessarily mean a new economy does not necessarily mean turning away from the old economy or old jobs, but helping the horse and buggy guys from 1905. In that respect, a couple of notes related to like being interconnected. The idea of like ICLE, that old something local economies, the ICLE organization, which does a great job of the idea of helping locals. There's a lot of local, buy local first organizations. I think there's a lot of room where we should all tap into that better. That's all. That's my scribble.
There you go.